The quiet suburban neighborhood of Willowbrook had always been a tranquil and friendly place to live. But behind the white picket fences and manicured lawns, a sinister secret lurked, hidden in the shadows of the seemingly perfect houses. It all began with the arrival of a new neighbor, Mr. Lawrence. Mr. Lawrence moved into the old Victorian house at the end of the street, a place that had stood vacant for years. He was an enigmatic man, always seen wearing a dark overcoat and a wide-brimmed hat that obscured his face. He seldom ventured out during the day, preferring the cloak of darkness as he slinked around the neighborhood. As weeks turned into months, strange occurrences started to plague Willowbrook. Pets disappeared without a trace, and their owners would find eerie symbols etched onto their front doors. The once close-knit community began to fracture as fear and paranoia took hold. Whispers of Mr. Lawrence's involvement circulated, but no one dared confront him. One gloomy evening, Emma, a young woman who lived next door to Mr. Lawrence, decided to investigate. She had lost her beloved cat, Whiskers, and couldn't bear the thought of him falling victim to whatever dark forces seemed to haunt their once peaceful neighborhood. Emma waited until the moon was high in the sky before sneaking out of her house. She approached Mr. Lawrence's eerie Victorian home, its windows shrouded in heavy curtains, and its garden overgrown with twisted thorns. She noticed a faint glow emanating from the basement window. Cautiously, she ventured closer, her heart pounding in her chest. The basement door was ajar, and a sickly, sweet scent hung in the air. Emma hesitated, but knew she had to find Whiskers. She pushed the door open, the rusty hinges creaking ominously. Descending into the dimly lit basement, Emma's eyes widened in horror as she saw what lay before her. The room was adorned with gruesome, macabre decor. Shelves lined with jars filled with strange substances, eerie masks hanging on the walls, and a table in the center covered with disturbing instruments of unknown purpose. In the corner, Whiskers sat inside a cage, his eyes wide with fear. Emma rushed to free him, but her heart sank as she realized he was not alone. Other missing pets, in various states of distress, were scattered throughout the basement. It was clear Mr. Lawrence was behind their torment. Just as she was about to make her escape, a sinister voice echoed from the shadows. "I see you found my little sanctuary, dear neighbor," Mr. Lawrence hissed, stepping into the dim light. His face was a grotesque mask of malevolence. Emma's heart raced as she backed away, clutching Whiskers to her chest. She had to get out of there and expose Mr. Lawrence's sinister secret to the world. But before she could make her escape, a door slammed shut behind her, trapping her in the nightmarish basement. She turned to see Mr. Lawrence advancing toward her, his eyes gleaming with madness. "You should never have come here, dear neighbor," he whispered, and the basement walls seemed to close in around her, sealing her fate within the sinister secrets of Willowbrook. As days turned into weeks, the neighborhood continued to decay into darkness. Willowbrook had become a place of nightmares, and the sinister secret of their neighbor, Mr. Lawrence, remained locked away in the eerie Victorian house at the end of the street, a chilling reminder of the horrors that lurked just beneath the surface of suburban life.
In the heart of a seemingly peaceful suburb lay a house unlike any other. The residents of Meadowbrook Drive whispered in hushed tones about the dwelling that cast an eternal shadow over the neighborhood. It was the residence of the Gravewood family, and their neighbors knew them only as purveyors of darkness. The Gravewoods were reclusive, seldom seen in daylight. The children in the neighborhood spoke of eerie chants and mysterious flickering lights emanating from their basement windows. As for Mr. Gravewood, the patriarch, he was known for his chilling, maniacal laughter that echoed through the night. One ominous evening, young Sarah, driven by morbid curiosity, decided to peer through the Gravewood's basement window. What she saw sent icy tendrils of fear coursing through her veins. In the dimly lit cellar, a congregation of hooded figures surrounded a sinister altar. Their chanting grew louder, more unholy with each passing moment. Suddenly, the ground beneath Sarah's feet trembled, and a frigid gust of wind blew through the window, extinguishing her flashlight. Panicking, she tried to flee, but the basement door creaked open, revealing Mr. Gravewood with a malevolent grin. "You shouldn't have looked," he whispered, his eyes gleaming with a madness that sent shivers down her spine. Sarah's desperate cries for help went unanswered as Mr. Gravewood dragged her into the cellar, where the chanting grew more cacophonous. She was bound to the sinister altar, and the hooded figures continued their macabre ritual. As the night wore on, Sarah's terror reached its peak. The air grew thick with an unholy presence, and shadows danced on the walls, taking grotesque, nightmarish forms. The ritual reached its climax, and Sarah felt herself slipping into a darkness from which there was no return. The following morning, the neighborhood awoke to an eerie silence. Sarah had vanished without a trace, and the Gravewood house exuded an even more sinister aura. The once idyllic suburb now lived in perpetual fear, knowing that the darkness next door held horrors beyond imagination. No one dared to venture near the Gravewood house, for they had glimpsed the true terror that lurked within, a terror that had swallowed Sarah whole, leaving her as nothing more than a chilling warning to anyone who dared to peer into the abyss next door.